Good morning, everyone. Welcome to a brand new edition of the GSMC Basketball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. As always, I'm your host, Meher Fatemi. We got a packed show lined up for you guys today. We have to recap everything that happened over the weekend, preview what's going on tonight. There's a lot of news to get into, so we have a packed show. This is most likely going to be one of the longer shows that we take part in today. I'm going to start off somewhere. I start off with recapping games. Today we're going to start off a little bit differently because there is a game going on tonight with everybody around the NBA's eyeballs are going to be attached to this game. The defending champs going back into MSG tonight for Game 4, down 2-1 against the New York Knicks. A game that the Boston Celtics, honestly, must-win game for the Celtics. Because if you go down 3-1 going back to Boston, you're already 0-2 in your home floor. The Knicks are undefeated on the road. You're playing the odds in a way that you don't want to play. If you win tonight, if the Celtics win tonight, they shift the momentum back over. They shift the pressure back over to New York. All the pressure will be on New York, and that is the key on this one. If you're New York, you're trying to force a Game 5. You're trying to win this game going back to Boston, and hopefully you continue your winning streak on the road, like I said. We'll get into more of those logistics as we continue into the show. But from there, we're also going to talk a little bit about the Cleveland Cavaliers Indiana Pacers series. The Pacers continuing to surprise the NBA world, going up 3-1 on the Cleveland Cavaliers, the number one seed in the Eastern Conference throughout the regular season. This is shocking from the Indiana Pacers, and we have a lot to discuss about them and how they honestly dismantled the Cleveland Cavaliers in Game 3 or in Game 4. So we have a lot to talk about there as well as who's to blame in Cleveland for their struggles in this playoff series. From there we're also going to discuss the other playoff series from Golden State and Minnesota to OKC and Denver. We saw that Game 4 last night with the Thunder tying the series up against the Denver Nuggets. And honestly, it was a crucial game for the Thunder, but we honestly expected it. This has been a flip-flop series. Each team taking every game. Game 1 to Denver, Game 2 to OKC, and once again with Game 3 and Game 4. This series shifts back to Oklahoma City for a Game 5 as this series turns into a best of 3 now. All you have to do is win 2 out of the next 3 and you win the series. Every game becomes even more crucial, and Game 5 should be fireworks for this series. To close out the show, we're going to talk a little bit about Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant is obviously a Hall of Fame talent. There have been rumors going around that Kevin Durant could be possibly on the move, could be looking to retire, could stay in Phoenix. Phoenix obviously there was reports in Phoenix that they were looking to trade him this offseason, but you know what can happen with players in the NBA. There are 2 teams in particular that are looking at him right now for potential suitors, and we'll discuss their situation. We'll discuss how they might land, if it's going to benefit them, who it would benefit more. We'll get into everything about that in our final segment of the show, of course. But before I move any further, I'd like to remind you guys to please like and follow the show for more GSMC Sports Network content. Also, we get a number of questions from viewers that come in during the show, so to ensure that your question gets read on air, I ask that you use the tips and donations link at gsmcsportsnetwork.net. This puts your question at the top of the list so that I see it, and it also really helps out the show. Again, the link is gsmcsportsnetwork.net for all your questions and comments. But let's get right into it here, because this is a packed show. I was not kidding when I said it. This is recapping multiple games. This is previewing games. This is talking about, to end of the show, this is a Kevin Durant topic that is going to be one of the hottest topics in the offseason. This is going to be one of the best shows. I think this is probably the most packed show I've done so far in my time here on this podcast. So without going any further, let's dive into it. Tonight, you can see by the headline already. Is tonight the biggest game played? It's a little confusing, but is tonight's game, Game 4 between the Celtics and Knicks, is it the biggest game played in MSG since the 1999 NBA Finals when the Knicks went up against the Spurs in the finals Obviously, the Knicks were the 8th seed that year. We'll talk. This is the biggest game. Yeah, it is the biggest game. Why? Because the Knicks hold a 2-1 series in this coming into this game. Because they hold all the momentum. They hold the cards to their future right now. They might have lost game 3, but at the same time, you didn't see Tatum or Brown lead the team in scoring. You saw Porzingis continue to struggle from the field. You see Al Horford showing signs of old age, that he's struggling to defend sometimes, struggling to score the ball. His defense is still hanging in there, but in terms of scoring the ball, we've seen some slippage there. We know Tatum isn't healthy, like I mentioned. We know Jaylen Brown isn't healthy going into these playoffs. This is a Celtics team that has a lot of hype around them. This is a Celtics team that is loaded, has a lot of talent across the board. But they're a team right now that can be had. This is a Celtics team that is bleeding in water. And if you're a shark, if you're the shark that the New York Knicks say they are, that a playoff team at this time of year normally is, you come into Madison Square Garden on your home floor and you win this game. Plain and simple. And this is why I say it's the biggest game in Knicks history, and since those 1999 finals. This is a series that the Knicks, people didn't predict the Knicks to win more than 2 games in. This is a series a lot of people didn't even say would go past game 6. A lot of people wouldn't say it would. A lot of people said it wouldn't go past game 5. I said the Celtics in 5 because I know the talent. I know, looking at these teams on paper, the Celtics are incredibly talented, are much more talented than the Knicks. What I didn't expect was Karl-Anthony Towns continuing to step up for this Knicks team. Brunson continuing to show up as the clutch player of the year. The Celtics to be as injured as they look right now. They just look discombobulated. It's the only way to describe it. They look discombobulated. Their offense, it looks like a guy, if you guys, I'm going to make a connection here. If you guys can remember back to the 2018 Boston Celtics with Kyrie Irving and Gordon Hayward, with the young Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, when a lot of people used to say, oh, it's your turn to shoot the ball. Oh, it's your turn to shoot the ball. We're just going to sit here and stay. We're just going to watch you. You guys, you go in an ISO and figure it out. This is what this Celtics team reminds me of right now. If you guys can think back to game 2, when Jason Tatum went into the corner for the last possession of the game, going for the game-winning shot. Tatum dribbled into the corner and tried to shoot a fall-away jumper, triple-teamed. And what were the other guys around him doing? Sitting around him staring like this. Not even hands up, staring. If you're a Celtics player, if you're a guy on the Celtics, if you're a Celtics fan, it's worrying. It's incredibly worrying because this is a team that you've seen dominate the regular season 2 years in a row. This is now a healthy team, or not healthy, but you guys are all on the court. You have Kristaps Porzingis on the team in the playoffs. We saw last year Porzingis didn't play many of the games because he was hurt for many of the games. Whatever it might be. And there are rumors that Porzingis might have mono right now. He has some mysterious illness that we can't figure out. He's physically sick. Well, he's not like immune. He's incredibly exhausted. You can see him on the floor. He's mentioned it many times. He's just lethargic. He's exhausted. He doesn't have an energy to play. He doesn't have that burst in him. That is what people are reporting about Kristaps Porzingis right now. So, I think if you're to continue in this series, the Celtics have to win tonight. If you want to have an opportunity to come back in this series, you need to shift the momentum back to the New York Knicks sideline. The pressure is all on the Celtics right now. The Knicks, a lot of people think the Knicks should not be in the position they're in right now, including me. Not that they're not supposed to be, that I didn't expect them to be in the position they're in. In a way, they're playing with house money right now. So, yeah, this is about the Celtics. This is about how they're going to continue to respond. The Knicks at home have been 1-3 in these playoffs. They're 1-3 at home in New York. Is it 1-3 or 1-4? They lost 2 games. They went 1-2 against. Yeah, it's 1-3. They lost 2 games to Detroit in New York, and now they lost game 3. If we're gonna touch on game 3 a little bit, we saw Peyton Pritchard leading the team with 23 points, Tatum with 22 points. Not the most efficient 22 points, but his threes definitely helped, going 4 for 6 from 3. The problem for Jason Tatum right now that I'm having is, why does his shot look so weird? Why does it look broken? This is a Jason Tatum that we know his signature shot is the dribble crossover at the top of the elbow of the free throw line and shooting that fall-away jumper that we know he can. It's a similar way to the way Kawhi shoots it, the way Kevin Durant shoots it, the way LeBron shoots it. Many of these players have that shot. Many of the best players in the league have that shot. And Jason Tatum kind of adopted it. We saw it immediately when he came out of college. It was his bread and butter shot. That shot isn't falling right now. It's a shot that it's hitting the front iron. It's hitting the back of the rim. It's not falling, plain and simple. And it's something that is a little bit concerning if you're a Celtics fan. If you're Jason Tatum, this is a shot that you make. This is your bread and butter. This is a shot that you get your rhythm going with. If you're missing these, I know you're getting your 3-ball going. You're still able to attack the paint. But what is going on with you? Is a little bit of that wrist injury continuing to play a factor in this series? We're not going to know the answer to these questions until after the series is over, and then we might hear some rumors here or there. But for now, this is all we know right now. And if we're going to continue with this series continuing in real time right now, all we can say is, what's going on with Jason Tatum? We can only ask the question. With Game 4 tonight, I think I have to go with the Celtics in Game 4 just because they're the more talented team, just because of the Knicks. I know the Knicks are still great. They hold a series lead in this one. I know this is going to be a much closer game than how Game 3 was. But the worst thing, the worst thing you want for a team like the Celtics, who's a shooting team, is to find their rhythm. And honestly, in Game 3, they shot 20 of 40 from 3. They shot 50%. You got to be content with that if you're a Celtics fan. Plain and simple. To shoot 20 of 40 from 3. And on top of that, many of those threes were open threes. So that continues to build their confidence. It continues to get them in that rhythm. Can the Celtics build on that? I think they can. I think they will. And I think this series goes back to Boston with the Celtics tying this series at 2 games apiece. I really think so. It'll be close. It'll be a 5 to 10 point game, if not less, probably. Maybe less. But it'll be close down the stretch. It'll be much closer than how Game 3 ended up. So that's my take on it. I think the Celtics are still one of the best teams in the East, regardless of their health. Whether they can get past the next round, that is a question for another day. That is not what I'm saying. But in terms of this series right now between the Celtics and the Knicks, I think the Celtics' talent right now beats a Knicks team. I think the Celtics, if they can find their rhythm shooting, can beat this Knicks team, and that's all you can ask for the Celtics. That's just my take on it. But I'm going to take a short break. When we come back, we're going to switch gears over to the other game last night between the Thunder and Nuggets, a series that is continuing to show off with fireworks. I mentioned it when the series kicked off. If you guys remembered how I used to talk about the Clippers-Nuggets series in the first round of the playoffs, those two teams, that playoff series was supposed to be one of the best series in NBA history or in recent history in the NBA playoffs. This is up there, if not better than that. Plain and simple. So we'll get into Game 4. We'll talk a little bit about how Game 3 and Game 4 went. And yeah, we'll discuss how this series is continuing to look. You're watching the GSMC Basketball Podcast presented by the GSMC Sports Network. Don't go anywhere.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign.
wanna be the greatest. Everybody on the fake shit, I look around and feel like everybody is the fakest. I make this every day and I'm impatient, hoping one day I blow up from the basement. Statement, the top is so vacant, I don't hear shit that I think is amazing. Waiting for my day when I'm playing sold out shows for 1,000 faces. Hey, give me that crown, get in my way and to be put down. It ain't your place, all this my town. If I want that shit, then I'll get it right now. I'm losing it, the noose it fits, some losing shit, a stupid myth. You choose to live or choose to dip, you choose to fight or lose your grip and lose a gift.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind?
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the GSMC Basketball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. As always, I'm your host, Mario Fatemi. Getting into our next segment here, we're going to talk a little bit about the Golden... Okay, never mind. I mean, we can. How about... As much as I love the Pacers, when I was thinking about this in terms of... Let me just fix that. So you weren't actually supposed to see the Pacers. We're actually going to talk about the Thunder and Nuggets, like I said we were. I'm just being funny, guys. I'm sorry. But let's talk about this series. This is probably the best series in the NBA right now. In terms of talent, in terms of entertainment, in terms of what we expect from these two teams. This is a Thunder team with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, the 98%, we're all 98% sure he's going to win the unanimous NBA MVP award. It hasn't been announced yet. That's why I say it's 98%, but like a lot of people are expecting it, including myself. And this is coming from a person that thinks Nikola Jokic might deserve it more or has played better this year. But at the same time, he doesn't deserve it more. It's about Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. It's about the best player on the best team. In terms of what we expected, this is a Nuggets team that we continue to expect to show up and show out, with Jokic being labeled or being titled as the best player in the NBA. And this is a Shai Gilgeous-Alexander coming in on a Thunder team that is continuing to grow around a young core, with Shai leading the team. That is why he's going to be labeled as the MVP once this series is over, or regardless of how the series ends up, he is going to be labeled as the MVP of the NBA. But the Thunder hold off the Nuggets in Denver in Game 4 in what was honestly a must-win game for the Thunder. If you look at it, I guess on paper, it wasn't really must-win. It was a 2-1 lead for the Nuggets. But falling down 3-1 against a Nuggets team like this, as a young team in the Thunder, with a young core, with don't have a whole lot of experience, it could have spelled defeat for you guys, for them. So, yeah, this is about the Thunder. This is about the Nuggets. And this series now shifts over to OKC in a Game 5. And this series is now a best-of-3 series with whoever not whoever wins the series, but either team just needs to win 2 out of the next 3. Simple as that. But before I move any further into recapping this series, I would like to remind you guys to please like and follow the show for more GSMC Sports Network content. Also, we get a number of questions from viewers that come in during the show. So to ensure that your question gets read on air, I ask that you use the tips and donations link at gsmcspodcast.net. This puts your question at the top of the list so that I see it. It also really helps out the show. Again, the link is gsmcspodcast.net for all your questions and comments. But let's get right into it here. I found some stats before the game. Oh, it didn't play music. Good. I want to just read off some stats from Game 4 because these were some shocking stats that I had to put down. I couldn't memorize them just because they are about Shai and Jokic, and their numbers. Regardless, Jokic over the last 3 games, shooting 33% from the field, 18% from 3, with 15 assists and 16 turnovers. Now, the Nuggets won of these The Nuggets won one out of the last 3 games that Jokic just played like this. Of course, you remember game 1 when Jokic went off for 42 points and 22 rebounds, one of his all-time best playoff performances. But this is about right now. This is about a Nikola Jokic that continues to play at a high level. Obviously, he's still the best player in the league, no question. But this is the same Jokic that I've lamented on this show over the last probably 3 weeks, a month and a half since Mike Malone was fired. We have seen slippage in terms of stat numbers, in terms of offensive efficiency from Nikola Jokic. Now, whether that has to do with Mike Malone, whether that has to do with the new scheme, whether that has to do, regardless of what it has to do with, Jokic is still playing bully ball in this series. We saw it in game 4 last night. Driving into the paint by himself, trying to take over the game. He is a man amongst boys, and Chet Holmgren cannot guard him. Plain and simple. But I would be remiss if I did not say that Jokic was struggling to shoot the ball. Even last night, 7 of 22 from the field, 2 for 8 from 3. He got to the free throw line a bunch of times, and it helped his shooting numbers. But he needs to figure it out offensively. If Jokic continues to play at this level, unless Jamal Murray or Aaron Gordon continue to step up the way that we know they can. Russell Westbrook has struggled in Denver in these last 2 games. We know in OKC he went 19 and 17 points in game 1 and game 2. But in Denver, he's very inconsistent sometimes. And this is some of these inconsistency moments. In game 4, he only had 6 points. In game 3, I believe he only had 8 points in game 3. Not a whole lot of points from him. Not a whole lot of production. Michael Porter Jr., we expect better from you than 3 points, man. You've been around for too long. 1 for 7 from the field, 0 for 5 from 3. If your 3 ball is not going down, stop shooting it. Get to an elbow shot. Get to a rhythm shot. Get to the lane. Get a layup. Something. That is what you need to do if you're Michael Porter Jr. And we know Michael Porter Jr. is good. We saw him in game 3 go off for 21 points. He was a big reason why they won game 3. But yeah, if you're the Nuggets and you want to win this series, if you need to figure it out offensively. You need Jokic to figure it out. You need Jamal Murray to be a little bit more consistent. 17 points is not that bad, but we know game 3 he had 27 points. We know Jamal Murray can play a little bit more consistent than he has, so I'm not going to get on him too much. He's playoff Jamal for a reason. He has that title as one of the more consistent, lethal NBA playoff scorers that we've seen in modern history, or at least today. So yeah. And then, of course, there is the guy that I've said is the X factor in this series that has showed up and showed out in game 3 and game 4. And, oh, wait, did I not mention he had a game winner in game 1? That guy's name is Aaron Gordon. Game 4, he had 15 and 16, 15 points, 16 rebounds. Continues to show up and show out. And I've said it, this is a Nuggets team that if you can get, this is a Nuggets team that is going to dominate the glass. There are not a lot of teams in the NBA today that are going to be able to defend the Nuggets on the glass, on the offensive or on the rebound, in the rebounding category. The only team I can maybe think of is Minnesota. And that's because they have Rudy Gobert and Julius Randle sitting in there. But this is a Nuggets team with a lot of guys that can rebound. Aaron Gordon, Michael Porter Jr., Jokic, Christian Braun, Russell Westbrook. I just named 5 guys that can all go off for double-doubles whenever they want. Even Michael Porter Jr. had 9 rebounds. So Aaron Gordon is the X factor in this series, not just because of his rebounding, but because of his scoring. We know whenever he can get the 3 ball going, he is lethal from 3-point range. He was 3 for 7 from 3 in game 4. But whenever he can go off for, say, 20 points and 15 rebounds, 20 points and 10 rebounds, expect the Nuggets to win that game because that is when they play at their best. That is the best version of the Denver Nuggets, when he can take pressure off of Nikola Jokic, when he can be an extra option from 3-point range, when he can be an extra option, when he can get offensive boards. That is who Aaron Gordon is. And when he can play like that, he had 7 offensive rebounds in this one. That is crucial. That is 7 extra offensive possessions for the Nuggets. And I'm honestly shocked that they didn't win this game. I feel bad. We've kind of taken a lot of space. We've taken a lot of the time. We've given a lot of time to the Nuggets. Switching gears for a sec to the other side. Jalen Williams, man. Jalen Williams, you're supposed to be the number 2 option for this Thunder team. And you'll see where I'm going with this after I talk about Jalen Williams here. 2 for 13. 0 for 5 from three-point range. You're supposed to be the number 2 option on this Thunder team. You're supposed to be one of the best players. You're supposed to be the second best player on the best team in the NBA. They had the best record throughout the regular season. You had 3 steals in this one, so you're a great two-way player. You're continuing to play at a high level on that side of the ball. But man, I said before the series started, I said throughout these playoffs, the game slows down, possessions shorten up, defenses stifle up. They scheme up plays. They take the best player in the game. They take the best player out of the game. And we've seen Shai Gilgeous-Alexander kind of move around that. He didn't shoot the best last night, only going 8 for 19. But he got to the free throw line a bunch of times. We know that's his MO, getting to the free throw line. Not just I don't mean just the free throw merchant, but Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is one of the best offensive players in the league. The way he shoots, the way he's able to pass, the way he's able to facilitate that Thunder offense, be able to make the players around him better. That's how he was able to bring the Thunder to the number 1 record in the NBA. That is why he deserves the MVP award. But the problem with the Oklahoma City Thunder is their youth, is that they don't have a reliable number 2 scorer. You have Jalen Williams, who's a great, growing, prospering star. He's prospering. He's growing into the star. But he's not a star yet. He might have had 30-point games in the regular season. He may have had 40-point games in the regular season. But we even saw Austin Reeves have 30, 40 points in regular season games. And that's when I think of Jalen Williams, I think he's better than Austin Reeves. But at the same time, I think of them as like a 1A1. I think of them in the same category. Maybe like a subcategory between the two. But that's the level that Jalen Williams is on. He's not on the level of a number 2 scorer yet. He can be your number 3. He can be your number 4. I think he's better as a number 3. I think lower than 3 is disrespectful. But you need another guy in Oklahoma City to take the pressure off of Shai. You can't have the guys like Aaron. You can't ask guys like Cason Wallace, Aaron Wiggins, Alex Caruso, Lou Dort. Like Chet Holmgren, we expect more from than 8 and 13. But at the same time, these are guys, you need another reliable scorer with Shai to be competitive in a gauntlet like the Western Conference. It's plain and simple like that. I think they're going to still push this series to 7 games, but I don't think the Thunder can win this series. And even if they do, I know Game 7 is really a 50-50 coin flip. So they absolutely can win that Game 7 if it goes there. But I think even if they win that, they probably lose in the next round. They either lose to Minnesota or they lose to Golden State. I think either of those teams are great teams as well. I just think the Thunder are incredibly young and they need time to grow and mesh with one another. They need to continue to grow their chemistry. This is like an Indiana Pacers squad. This is going to be my last take as well. This is like the Indiana Pacers. This is a young team with a lot of budding stars around a star player like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. If you can't get another guy like a Pascal Siakam, like a Miles, I guess you have Miles Turner already there. Like, I don't know. You just need a year. Maybe you just need a year to grow around one another. I'm not sure. But this is a Thunder team that needs another piece to be able to compete in the Western Conference because it is too competitive with too much going on in a loaded Western Conference. I'm going to leave it on that note. And we'll have more to talk about this series tomorrow when we preview Game 5. But coming up next, we're going to talk a little bit about the Indiana Pacers continuing to surprise the NBA, going up 3-1 on the Cleveland Cavaliers. It was originally supposed to be my second segment, but when you're going through the show, sometimes you just think about it. You just go with the flow of the mind. And I decided to skip it and just give this one some more love first. No matter, I don't think it's too big of a difference. We'll talk about the Pacers next segment. And you're watching the GSMC Basketball Podcast presented by the GSMC Sports Network. Don't go anywhere.
Looking for your daily fix of sports talk without having to pay for it? GSMC Sports Network is available on YouTube. Just search GSMC Sports Network. Get your fix of daily sports talk shows on YouTube, absolutely free. NFL, college football, NBA, MLB, MMA, UFC, fantasy football, and so much more. GSMC Sports Network has shows running all day long, with new sports shows starting every 2 hours. Just like on your favorite cable sports channel, except GSMC Sports Network is absolutely free. Just search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube to catch one of your new favorite shows, like the GSMC College Football Podcast, Chip Shot Football Podcast, Hoops and Heels Women's Sports Podcast, GSMC Basketball Podcast, and so many more. Check it out for yourself. GSMC Sports Network, now available on YouTube absolutely free. Search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube right now.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the GSMC Basketball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. As always, I'm your host, Mario Fatemi. Getting into our next segment here, we're going to talk a little bit about the Indiana Pacers and Cleveland Cavaliers series. Obviously, the Pacers now up 3-1 in this series and continue to impress against the number one team in the Eastern Conference. And I don't want to say I told you so, but I did say the Pacers are going to win this series. I did say in 7 games. I didn't think it was going to be this dominant of a performance from the Pacers, but I knew the Pacers. I knew the Pacers were a great team. But now that I'm thinking about it, this is also a Cleveland Cavaliers team that deserves a lot of respect. And they deserve a break because it's plain and simple, they're not healthy. This is worse than what the Celtics are dealing with in Boston. With Darius Garland that's pretty much playing out there with one leg, you have with pretty much a broken toe, which if you don't know how a player plays with a broken toe, you're pretty much running every time you take a step. It's unbelievable pain that Darius Garland is dealing with. And I don't know if he has his foot wrapped. I'm not sure if he's taking cortisone shots. I don't know what how he's rehabbing it, how he's playing with it. But to be able to be the leading scorer on a team with that kind of injury, nothing short of incredible toughness and beyond. He definitely heard the noise from people around the media saying, "Oh, we need Darius Garland to come back quicker. If Darius Garland doesn't come back quicker, he's not the NBA star that we thought he was. This, that, and the other." It's not fair. And honestly, he's still out there. Hopefully he doesn't continue to worsen that injury. Hopefully he'll be back quick. He'll be back for next season, at the start of next season. And of course, this series still isn't over. But at the same time, this series is still over. I'm not picking the Pacers to lose. I'm not picking the Cavs to beat this Pacers team 3 out of 4 times. Or was it 3 out of the next 4 games? Yeah. No. Well, no. I'm not picking the Cavs to go undefeated in the rest of this series. I'm not picking the Cavs to win 3 straight. This is a Pacers team. This is a Pacers team that is incredibly loaded. When you think about the Pacers, they emulate the Cavs so much, it's unbelievable. With the way that they're able to lead their leader in Tyrese Halliburton emulating Donovan Mitchell. You have Andrew Nembhard that's able to pretty much mirror Darius Garland, even though you would probably pick Darius Garland over Nembhard. You have Miles Turner and Pascal Siakam. Obviously, Siakam is an NBA champion. You have Miles Turner, who's probably who's honestly a man amongst boys in the paint. We saw what he did to Jared Allen in Game 3. Was it Game 3? No, it was Game 2. When he went off he had almost 25 points. He bullied Jared Allen in the post with a double-double. This is a Pacers team that could honestly go all the way. And this is another topic for another day. I'll go into it a little bit now, but this is a Pacers team that could easily knock off the Knicks or the Celtics to make it to the NBA Finals. Let's say they make it past the Cavs. Let's say they face Boston, which is what a lot of people thought they were going to face in the Eastern Conference Finals. In that series, I wasn't going to talk about this now, but I picked the Celtics to win that series in 6 games to make it back to the finals. And I'm switching it. I'm switching it to Pacers. Pacers in 6. If they face the Knicks, Pacers in 5. This is a Pacers team that is undeniably playing the best basketball in the Eastern Conference right now. And it's not close. It's not close. The way that they're able to change the momentum of games, the way they're able to shoot their way back into games, regardless of how far behind they fall early on, regardless of how hot the other team jumps out of the gate. This is a Cleveland Cavaliers team with Donovan Mitchell that went off, that's averaging 41 points in this series. Through 4 games, he's averaging 41. This is a Cleveland Cavaliers team that was the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference, holding with the defensive player of the year in Evan Mobley. Even though he's a little bit hobbled right now, he's still playing at a high level. This is simply put one of the best teams in the Eastern Conference. The best team. You could say it was the best team in the Eastern Conference. Why? Because they had the number 1 record throughout the regular season. So, I know Donovan Mitchell only had 12 points last night, and he didn't shoot that well. He really didn't. 3 of 11 from the field, 1 of 5 from 3. We know he can play better. We know he can shoot better. But this is still the Cleveland Cavaliers that we're talking about here. This is still, and to have the Indiana Pacers have 7 guys that can go off for double figures like they did last night. You had 7 guys go off for 10 plus points. You had 3 guys with 20 plus points. And this was a night when Halliburton probably had one of his worst nights with only 11 points. Didn't have many assists. 5 assists. 5 rebounds. This was a night when Andrew Nembhard didn't even have a double. Had over 10 points. Didn't even have over 10 points. This is why the Pacers are one of the best teams in the Eastern Conference. They're unique. They're not top heavy. They're incredibly deep. They can all shoot the ball. The chemistry around one another, the way they can play defense. When you can have a team that can go 7-man deep, that can go for 10 plus points, when you can go 9 guys deep in the playoffs into your bench and be fine and be confident that you can still win games, that is a dangerous team. And that is how good the Pacers are right now. And this is all homegrown. This isn't all homegrown talent, but a lot of it is. A lot of it is. Miles Turner, been there for 10 plus years. Halliburton, well, they didn't draft him. Nembhard they drafted. Shepherd they drafted. Then you bring pieces like Tyrese Halliburton, and you bring Aaron Nesmith, and you bring an NBA champion like Pascal Siakam in. This is a Pacers team that is incredibly deep, incredibly dangerous, and I would not be shocked if they made it to the NBA Finals. I really wouldn't. I really wouldn't. And if you want to ask me right now who I would be most confident to pick to make it to the NBA Finals right now, I would say Indiana. They're playing the best basketball, plain and simple. And Boston is out there to be had. I think Boston will still find a way. I think they can still find a way to beat New York just based off their talent. They're more talented. They're a better team on paper than the Knicks. And I'm not going back to that. We talked about that at the top of the show. But the Pacers can knock off the Celtics right now. They really can. This is a Pacers team that can beat anybody. I think they can bring anybody in the Western Conference to a 7-game series as well. I seriously believe it. They're playing the best basketball in the NBA right now. So, that's just my take. I feel bad for the Cavs because they are dealing with injuries at the moment, and they're not 100% healthy. Hopefully we see them back together with the same group. if we want to point the finger at somebody, I don't even think we could point at Kenny Atkinson. You're just playing with the pieces that you have around you right now. And when you're missing three guys, three out of your core, two in your starting lineup, one off the bench in the first two games, and you fall down 2-0 quickly, you blow two 20-point leads. Game 2, the Cavs should have won. In all honesty, they should have won Game 2. Game 2 was, you can call it a meltdown from the Cavs because they did blow a 7-point lead in the last 45 seconds. But at the same time, it was the shot making of the Pacers. And if you really want to call that a turnover from Donovan Mitchell crucial, I guess you can point that to the coach. I don't even want to point that to Donovan Mitchell. Why? Because he had 48 points in that game. He should be the last guy. Yes, you want to blame him because the ball was in his hands and he was the guy that fell down. But he went off for 48 points. He was the guy that, without him, you're not winning that game, period. So if you ask me, I absolve him of that blame, personally. I think he's still one of the best. He's one of the best players in playoff history. He's one of the best players in the playoffs. He's one of the best. He was one of the best guys that you'd want on your team in the playoffs. One of the best closers, plain and simple. He's one of the best talents in the NBA. But if you're the Indiana Pacers, you have to be happy about where you are, and you have to be ready to close Game 5. Do not give the Cavs any room to grow, any room to breathe. Because if you do, this is a Cavs team that can still come back. I'm not picking them, but if they win one and they bring it back to Cleveland, or they bring it back, no, this series would shift back to Indiana. Well, I guess if you lose Game 5, you'll probably win Game 6 back in Indiana. But I still don't do it. Don't let these guys get healthy. Don't let these guys get an edge. Don't let them have any room to grow, any room to breathe. Because if you do, they can come back. All they have to do is win Game 6, and then you have a Game 7 back in Cleveland, and all bets are off. So this series is not close to over. I'm picking the Pacers, but it's still not over. We'll have we'll have something to talk. We'll have more to talk about this when we're previewing Game 5. I think it's tomorrow. It could be Wednesday. I'm not 100% sure, but we'll talk about it when it's ready to talk. Yeah, it's tomorrow. We'll have more to talk about this series tomorrow. But coming up next, we're going to switch gears over to the last series that we haven't talked about yet for the NBA playoffs. It's kind of been for a reason because you're missing your best player in this series. The best player in this series is missing in Steph Curry. And the Timberwolves have really been dominating since he's been out. So we're going to talk about the Timberwolves and Warriors. Game 4 later tonight. And do the Warriors still have a chance to win one of these games to force a 2-2 series back to Minnesota to hopefully get Steph Curry back in the lineup, at least partially healthy? You're watching the GSMC Basketball Podcast presented by the GSMC Sports Network. Don't go anywhere.
For the best and latest podcasts available anywhere, go to the podcast app on your cell phone and type in GSMC to access free content-rich podcasts on health and wellness, book reviews, sports, entertainment, relationships, social media, movies, technology, finance, and even weird news. Subscribe and download the GSMC Podcast Network's family of shows, available everywhere podcasts are found.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the GSMC Basketball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. As always, I'm your host, Matt Fatemi. Getting into our next segment here, we're going to talk a little bit about the Golden State Warriors and Minnesota Timberwolves series. This is a series that a lot of people had scheduled. I wonder why it's scheduled. It's a playoff series. Circled, I meant. This is a series between two players we thought it was going to be Anthony Edwards, the quote-unquote legend killer, continuing to grow that title with, of course, taking out Kevin Durant last year, taking out Nikola Jokic in the 7-game series, and then this year taking out LeBron James in the first round. Anthony Edwards is continuing to grow his resume in the NBA and continuing to grow as an NBA player. So we have to give props. We have to give credit where credit is due. They're one of the best teams in the Western Conference. But they were going up against the boogeyman and Steph Curry. They were going up against playoff Jimmy. This was a team that Anthony Edwards has said in interviews he wants to play them in the playoffs. He wants to get to their level. He wants to have that title. He wants to get that new boogeyman title in the Western Conference. And he had an opportunity to do so. He still has an opportunity to do so. I just think it's not fair. I don't think it's fair to Steph Curry to judge him on his performance so far. And this is off a game one in the first two quarters when he went off for 13 points in 13 minutes, where he went off in game one and really took over that game. The Warriors still won that game, but he was a big reason why they went into takeover mode in the first half and went up by almost 25 points. He was a big reason. And the Warriors have absolutely missed him in this series. Even though you still have Anthony Edwards going off for 36 points. You have Julius Randle still playing at a high level. You have Jaden McDaniels still playing at a high level. This is a clearly hobbled Warriors team, and a team that we know can play at a high level. This is a Warriors team. This is a Warriors team that you plain and simple feel bad for, because of the way that they've come back in the regular season to turn around the narrative around their team. The way Jimmy Butler is playing in the playoffs, even though he can do better, even though we know he can do better, this is still Jimmy Butler we're talking about here. He still went off for 33 points in Game 3. We still have to give credit where credit is due. Playoff Jimmy is still born. He's still well, healthy, and alive right now. We see Jonathan Kuminga stepping up. But without Steph Curry to generate the offense for this team, we saw in the fourth quarter, they kind of wilted a little bit. We saw Jimmy Butler kind of trying to do everything himself. We saw Jonathan Kuminga with key stupid turnovers. Oh my God. Like, when you go up for an offense, you get, I think it was Jimmy Butler that missed a shot. Kuminga gets a rebound, immediately goes up for a shot in point blank range and hits the corner of the rim on a layup attempt. Like, man, it's a bread and butter shot in the fourth quarter. You need a bucket. You miss that, you can't miss those. You cannot miss those. You go out for 30 points. You're doing everything right. You cannot miss those. You cannot miss those. And you know when Steph Curry's on the floor, you know he's going to get a higher percentage shot up. You know he's going to be able to run the offense much better. But this is Steph Curry. When we know he can play better, the NBA community misses Steph Curry, and we cannot wait to see him back in a Golden State Warriors uniform, to have him back on the floor. But without him, I can't pick the Warriors to win this series. Can I even pick them to win I thought I thought I could pick them to win one out of the next 3 games. Between Game 2 and Game 4, I thought they would win one out of those 3 games. And they've already lost 2. Now, there is a game tonight. And Jimmy Butler, you went off for 30 points. Buddy Hield, Mr. Alfred, I need you to step up. 4 for 8 from 3. You still shot 50%. 5 of 11 from the floor. Cool. We need you to put up more shots. And I know that the Timberwolves are starting to guard you differently. They're starting to guard you more intensely. But we still need you to step up. We need you to be that shooter without Steph Curry in the lineup. We need you to show up like Klay Thompson showed up as a number 2 option for Steph Curry. We need you to be the number 2 option for this team. If you can step up into that role, I think the Warriors can still get it done in this series. I think they can. Tonight might be a must-win. Tonight is a must-win game for the Warriors. If you go down 3-1, this series is over. You're not winning 3 straight against this Timberwolves team. Not without Steph Curry in the lineup. And even if you did, I'm still not picking you to do it. You need to give Steph Curry an opportunity to get back on the floor. I haven't heard any reports about it. I wish, honestly, I'm going to check right now, but without Steph Curry, you need Steph Curry in the lineup to have an opportunity to win this series. I haven't seen any news about Steph Curry's injury in the last All I've seen is Steph Curry. Steph Curry's injury could be worse than what's been previously noted. Could be worse. Could be seen as a month. Could be a week-to-week injury instead of a game-by-game injury. But this is the best kept secret in Golden State right now. I've heard nothing, not even a peep, nothing outside of Steph Curry crying in the locker room with Steve Kerr. That is all we've heard. We haven't heard any. Not even Steve Kerr won't even talk about it in the press conferences. I went to go check really quick. I was wondering why I haven't heard anything about it. But this is Golden State Warriors we're talking about here. This is Steph Curry. This is the second, arguably the best point guard in NBA history, even though I wouldn't put him over Magic Johnson yet. Even though I said Magic Johnson, even though I said if he wants to clear Magic Johnson, he needs to win another championship. If he wins another championship, I can't say anything. It's plain and simple. He's the best point guard in NBA history. If he can win another championship, no doubt in my mind he's the best point guard in NBA history. Best resume, best player, everything. Everything. He already probably is in a lot of people's eyes. But if Steph Curry can get back in the lineup, this Warriors team still has a chance. But it starts tonight. You win tonight, you give your team an opportunity. You give Steph Curry an opportunity to come back on the floor. You give him an extra game. You don't have to. You can force him back in Game 5 if you want, but at least it's a 2-2 series. You give him an opportunity. If you can force, if you can force a Game 6, and he can be back for Game 6, this Warriors team still has a chance to come back. It comes down to Jimmy Butler. It comes down to Buddy Hield. It comes down to the scheming of how Steve Kerr schemes his players up into position to be successful. Jesus, take a breath. It's about how Steve Kerr gets his guys in position to be successful. Plain and simple. But the Warriors need to win this game to have an opportunity. And I love the Timberwolves, and I wish I talked about them more, but the biggest headline in this series is Golden State, is Steph Curry. And with them losing 2 games in a row, if they lose tonight, this series is over. Over. And it comes down to, is Anthony Edwards going to shut the door on the Warriors? Is Julius Randle, who had a triple-double in Game 3, 24, 10, and 12, 24 points, 10 rebounds, 12 assists. Is he going to continue to step up? Is Jaden McDaniels going to continue to step up? That's the question. But yeah, I'm going to take one last short break. Coming up next, we're going to talk about Kevin Durant, who has had 2 teams. Obviously, Kevin Durant is a Hall of Famer. We've heard rumors. We heard rumors before the trade deadline that the Suns were looking to move him, and now it's becoming more official. 2 teams coming out there right out the gate as potential suitors, saying that they're interested in Kevin Durant, and we'll discuss these 2 teams. Who has the better team? Who would be more successful around, and beyond. You're watching the GSMC Basketball Podcast presented by the GSMC Sports Network. Don't go anywhere. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the GSMC Basketball Podcast, presented by the GSMC Sports Network. As always, I'm your host, Mayor Fatemi. Going into our last segment here of the show, we're going to switch gears from the NBA playoffs here. There is only so much you can talk about the NBA playoffs these days, and honestly, as the conference finals continue to approach, we're going to kind of start to fade away from the playoffs. We're going to start previewing the offseason a little bit more, little by little. We saw, I'm going to say this a little bit right now, even Giannis Antetokounmpo is talking about it right now on Get Up on ESPN. He's continuing to find out where he wants to move in the offseason. But that's a topic for another day. We're not here to talk about Giannis. As much as we have to talk about Giannis in the next month, or probably 3 weeks, 2-3 weeks from now, we'll have a lot to talk about Giannis. But not right now. That is not the topic of discussion right now. That is not what we're here for. We're here for another guy, another soon-to-be Hall of Famer that is continuing to show up and show out. Had a tough season this year. Has had a few tough seasons the last few years now. But we know he's an NBA player. We know he's an NBA Hall of Famer. We know he's still one of the best scorers in NBA history and in the NBA today. And that is Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant sweepstakes are up. We saw Phoenix was looking to move him before the trade deadline, and we saw we saw Golden State possibly interested. We saw who else did we see interested? We saw, I think the main team was Golden State. We saw the San Antonio Spurs interested. We saw rumors about Oklahoma City, a possible reunion in Oklahoma City, but that was all before the trade deadline. A lot of time has passed, and now since the playoffs have started and with the offseason quickly approaching, there are two teams now being reported with eyes on the Hall of Famer. Now, there is one of them that's in the playoffs right now, so I'll leave that one as the second. I'll talk about that second. Let's start with the first one, and that would be the Miami Heat. I have a feeling a lot of people thought I was going to say the Miami Heat first, and honestly, when you think about Kevin Durant being traded, Miami is the first place that kind of comes to mind. Miami, well, we already saw he had a stint in Brooklyn. I would have said New York, maybe. I would have said Golden State, maybe. But a big market team is the first thing I would have said. Miami is obviously a young team built around Bam Adebayo, built around Tyler Hero. They still have Jaime Jaquez. They still have a young player in Ken Ware. They have an incredibly young team, still well coached by Eric Spoelstra. Still have an NBA GM, one of the best GMs in NBA history, and Pat Riley, who's going to go into the Hall of Fame as not only as a coach but as an executive as well. This is Kevin Durant we're talking about here. And this is Pat Riley. It's pretty much a match made in heaven. The same way we talked about Jimmy Butler and Pat Riley, this is a match made in heaven. If you want grit, if you want grind, if you want toughness, if you want a guy that's polished, a guy that's built on hard work and dedication, one of those guys is Kevin Durant. Now, I would be lying if I said I would be worried. I'm a little bit worried about his personality. Kevin Durant isn't much of a leader. He doesn't talk. I wouldn't say he's not much of a leader. But in terms of how he's in the locker room, he's not the voice of the locker room. He might be the best player in the locker room, but he's not the voice of the locker room. He's not. He's not. Plain and simple. He doesn't spend that extra couple hours mentoring the younger guys. He doesn't go out there, and he's more of an ISO guy. He's the guy that you get the ball into his hands to get a shot up, to get a reliable shot. He's a catch and shoot. He's a shooter. He's a shooter. He's a shooting guard. He's a small forward, but he's not a point guard, and he's not a floor general. If you want that, that's what you give Tyler Hero to do. That's what you have Tyler Hero do. But at the same time, with Kevin Durant on the floor, it takes a lot of pressure off of Tyler Hero, and it gives him a lot more opportunity to grow. It gives him more time to grow as an NBA player, continuing as he's entering his NBA prime right now. Tyler Hero is one of the best young talents in the NBA. And to waste it, to not give him an opportunity to continue to grow into a possible star or super, he's already an NBA star, but to grow into a superstar, continue to take that next step as a player, you need to give him another option. You need to give him help to take some of that pressure off him because he's not 100% ready for it. A lot of people aren't. You're not, especially in the NBA today, you're not going to be successful in the NBA as a one player, as a one guy show. It's not the individual show anymore. It's a team game. It's not about the big threes anymore. It's about the team. We already see Indiana showing that off with how deep they are. We see OKC showing that off. We see, even in a way, Boston showing that off. The big threes, the top heavy teams, they don't work anymore. Why? Because it's about team game. It's about taking the pressure off of the best player in the league, or the best player on the floor. Because it gives your team more of an opportunity to win. It gives them it gives them more of a chance, get a better chance to be more successful down the line. But yeah, that's the first team in Miami. I think Kevin Durant would be a great fit there, being, like I said, take pressure off of Tyler Hero, give Bam Adebayo more of an opportunity in the paint. You have the shooter on the outside, you have the floor general, you have the guy on the interior to get you rebounds. Ken Ware will continue to be that. You have Jaime Jaquez, you still have Duncan Robinson, you still have a great coach in Eric Spoelstra. I think Kevin Durant would be successful, and Miami would instantly become one of the top 6 teams in the Eastern Conference if they acquired Kevin Durant's talents. That's where I'm going to start with this conversation. Miami is definitely one of the best landing spots for Kevin Durant, just from a outside perspective, overall general perspective. Now, in terms of where he would be more successful, in terms of the other team that I'm talking about here, that is in the playoffs right now, a team that I've already said on the show before. I haven't said it this week. I haven't said it probably since they won their first round matchup. But it's a team that I said needs another offensive piece. I said it before the playoffs started too. It was my biggest concern with this team, that their offense was going to be held back. They needed another guy to truly exploit their number one threat. They needed another guy to unlock this offense pretty much. That team would be none other than the Minnesota Timberwolves. Can you imagine? Just stay with me here. Can you imagine a team with Kevin Durant and Anthony Edwards on the same team? Can you imagine how deadly that team would be? Deadly. Absolutely deadly. You have Kevin Durant and Anthony Edwards in the backcourt. You bring Julius Randle and Rudy Gobert at the 4 and 5 positions. Whoever you want to throw at the 3. Throw Jaden McDaniels there. Throw Jaden McDaniels there. Who's on? I'm trying to think who's the starting lineup. I think they have Mike Conley in the starting lineup right now. Who's in the starting lineup right now? I think it's Mike Conley. I don't know. I think it's Mike Conley, and who starts at the 1, and Jaden McDaniels stays at the 3. But regardless of how you want to slice it, Kevin Durant on this team would unlock this offense. You might say that he might be a little bit ball dominant. He would shoot the ball too many times. He would take offensive possessions from Anthony Edwards. Whatever you want to say. But if you brought Kevin Durant there, not only would this be a similar situation to like Los Angeles, like when Luka Doncic arrived in Los Angeles. LeBron took a step back. Kevin Durant would also have to take a step back. It's Anthony Edwards' team. You're the Robin to Anthony Edwards' Batman, if you're Kevin Durant. You still have those, like I said, you have Julius Randle there. You have Rudy Gobert. You're still incredibly deep with Mike Conley, Jaden McDaniels, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Dante DiVincenzo. You're still incredibly deep, and you have a lot of guys that can play off the bench, can shoot the ball. You can give these guys rest. But Kevin Durant, like I said, would unlock this team offensively. It might give them a step back defensively, but offensively, in terms of putting the ball in the basket, you wouldn't have games like Game 1. We saw Game 1 when the team shot, I think, between game 5 and game 1, they shot a combined 12 of 76 or something crazy from 3-point range. That's worse than what the Boston Celtics shot. And we crucified the Celtics for taking too many threes. If we're crucifying the Celtics for taking too many threes, why are we not crucifying Minnesota Timberwolves? I've not heard enough about that stat. 12 of 76 from 3-point range between game 5 and game 1. Now they've ripped 3 straight against the Warriors. That's probably why we've absolved them. But Kevin Durant would definitely help in that category, would be able to shoot the ball better, would be able to get some more offensive efficiency going for the Minnesota Timberwolves. And the Timberwolves would honestly become the number one threat to the Oklahoma City Thunder in the Western Conference in terms of overall talent. I seriously think so. They're already one of the best teams in the Western Conference. And I picked them to beat the Warriors in 7 games. They would go to back-to-back conference finals, and you add Kevin Durant to that team. No, that team is one of the best teams in the West, if that ever happened. I'm not going to say it will happen, but I'm not going to say it's not going to happen, because I seriously think I think if I could choose between Miami and Minnesota, am I choosing Miami in terms of youth, in terms of still having a big role for the team? Or would I pick Minnesota, where I might not have as much of a role? I would still have a big role, do not get me wrong, but I would be a Robin to a Batman, and I'd probably have more success in Minnesota in terms of trying to win another championship. If you're trying to win a championship, you go to Minnesota. If you're trying to just enjoy your last few years and bring a young team to the playoffs and continue to be competitive, I don't think KD on the Miami Heat currently constructed would make as much noise as Minnesota if he went to Minnesota. That's my take. But it's all about Kevin Durant, how he decides to go about this. And the Warriors, I think the Warriors will still get involved here. I think the Thunder are still a team that you have to keep your eye on with how many first-round draft picks that they have. And then, of course, you have to talk about San Antonio, because San Antonio is the dark horse team that Kevin Durant is most likely still interested in. They have a great balance of youth, and they have a great balance of talented youth. And if they can add Kevin Durant, they could add that seasoned veteran Hall of Fame talent. I think it would be great for the Spurs as well. So we'll keep our eyes on them as well. But those are the 2 teams that recently got reported over the weekend. Miami and Minnesota for the Kevin Durant sweepstakes. And I would have never thought Minnesota, but it makes sense in terms of how I said that they would need another offensive piece to truly unlock this offense. I said it before the playoffs started. You can go back into my clips. I did say it. But that's going to be that. Tonight we still have 2 games later tonight. Celtics Knicks at 7:30. Warriors Timberwolves. 2 must-win games for the Celtics and Warriors in their sake, trying to avoid a 3-1 deficit, trying to tie their series up at 2 games apiece. We'll have more to recap on those 2 series tomorrow as we look ahead. But yeah, that'll be it for me. That'll be it for me on this show. Thank you guys for tuning into the GSMC Basketball Podcast presented by the GSMC Sports Network. Your support means a lot to us, so please remember to leave a positive review. Whether it's positive, whether it's negative, please let us know what we're doing well. Let us know what we can improve upon. Because like I've said before, you guys are a big part of what we do here at the GSMC Sports Network. So let us know overall what we're doing well. Let us know what we can improve upon so we can continue to create the best content that we can for your guys' entertainment. For more content and updates, remember to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram. Thank you guys for tuning into the GSMC Basketball Podcast. I'm your host, Marif Temi, signing off. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your days and happy basketball. Tune in later tonight for more NBA playoff basketball. And tune in tomorrow at 9 a.m. for more GSMC basketball content. Bye-bye.
Let's go. I
wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit, and the coffee ain't hit.